Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another ordinary council meeting for Tuesday, the 14th of March 2023. I'd like to start with attendance, and I believe there are no apologies this evening. So, item 1.1. We'll now move on to item 1.2, acknowledgement of traditional owners of the land. Council acknowledges the traditional owners and custodians of this land, the Bunurong people, and pays our respects to their elders past, present and emerging, while also recognising their deep and continuing connections to climate, culture and country. We also pay our respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and their elders and acknowledge their journey. Item 1.3, offering of prayer, reflection or affirmation. As part of Council's commitment to recognising the cultural and spiritual diversity of our community, the prayer this evening will be offered by Pastor David Owen from the Combined Churches of Greater Dandenong. Can I please ask everyone to stand?
On behalf of the Dandenong Ministers Fellowship, our Father in heaven, we thank you for your blessings upon this, our city of Greater Dandenong, for the freedoms that we enjoy and the prosperity under which we live. We ask you to help us never to take these things for granted, and we thank you for our multicultural society. Help us to love and respect one another as we learn to benefit from one another's diverse cultural backgrounds. I pray, Lord, for Mayor Foster and each councillor of their respective wards. I pray for the officers and their various responsibilities, that you would give them great wisdom and understanding in their oversight, planning and vision for the city of Greater Dandenong. Lord, we ask that you help the residents of this city to live in an atmosphere of helping one another, serving one another, in order to make this city as best as it could possibly be. Lord, I commit this city and the residents to you, Lord. I commit this meeting tonight to you and ask that we would be known for our love, harmony and vision. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Owen. Item 1.4, confirmation of minutes of previous meeting. Moved by Councillor Garrard, seconded by Councillor Trung. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 1.5, disclosures of interest. Are there any disclosures of interest, Ms. Weatherall?
No, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. As there's no disclosures of interest, I'll move on to item 2, Officers' Reports, Part 1. Item 2.1, Documents for Sealing. 2.1.1, Documents for Sealing. Moved by Councillor Tan, seconded by Deputy Mayor Councillor Formoso. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 2.2, Documents for Tabling. 2.2.1, Petitions and Joint Letters. Moved by Councillor Long, seconded by Councillor Lim. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Councillor Garrard, do you wish to speak to the item?
Madam Mayor, I'd just like to acknowledge one of the items has been resolved to some degree. The petition from the residents of Willow Lodge expressing their concern about the waste-to-energy plant that was to be located in close vicinity to them has the owners have decided not to proceed at this stage with that waste-to-energy facility.
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Item 3, Question Time Public. Ms. Weatherall, are there questions, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And the first question I have from Joyce Harris, and Ms Harris would like to come up and read it herself. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Harris.
Good evening. I realise that City Council surely are all here to help and protect people that are in the city of Greater Dandenong. I believe that there are questions that we need to ask, serious questions that we need to ask. And there's a lot of concern about 5G, so I continue to ask a question tonight. I can't find on your website any reference at all of any independently funded reviews of the relevance of 5G, the safety of 5G, and if Council has not got any independent studies, independently funded studies that are not just by the UN or not just by, you know, some other government here or there or whatever, but independence is vital for the debate of whether 5G is healthy or not, safe or not, relevant or not for the citizens who are in Australia, but in this case the Dandenong City Council. So I would like to ask, who is it that can provide what research has been done, what is relevant to, why is 5G relevant at all to us? How will our safety be protected when 5G is up and running full strength? And who will be responsible for that? Who will be culpable for that? Who will be allies to the damage that that can do? The fact that there is no counter research suggests that everyone agrees, or the right people in right places agree that 5G is safe and it's okay to, you know, be used. I beg to differ, and I don't see any independently funded articles that suggest 5G is okay or 5G is not okay. We can't keep going down a path without independently funded studies.
Thank you, Ms Harris. So I'll put your question to the relevant officer now. Thank you, Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I hear the question in regards to the 5G network. I think we'll have to take that on notice this evening and provide a response in coming weeks. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms Weatherall. The next question.
Thank you. And our next question is from Susan Zaruthan, who has some questions as well in regards to 5G.
Thank you, Ms Zaruthan.
Thank you. Good evening. My question is really the same as the previous person that spoke about 5G and the concerns that we have. I live very close to two towers, about 100 metres from my home, and so I'm really concerned about the effects of 5G. I'm not even sure whether it's probably already turned on, but I'm really concerned about that. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people in our community that are just as concerned. And as the previous person said, has there been any independent studies about the 5G network? So, we really are concerned about this. So if that could be, some answers, please, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Zaruthan. Ms Weatherall, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And again, as I said earlier, we'll take that question on notice and provide a response in the next couple of weeks. Our next question is from Ms Sylvia Mastrogiovanni in regards to the Dandenong Community Hub. If she would like to come up to the microphone, please.
Thank you.
It is great news for Keysborough South residents that their community hub was approved for construction last council meeting after 9 years of planning. However, Dandenong residents have been waiting for 16 years since their hub was first proposed. When can Dandenong residents expect their hub to start being built?
Thank you, Ms Mastrogianni. Ms Weatherall,
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll ask our Director for Community Strengthening to respond, Mr Forster.
Thank you, Mr Forster.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Sylvia, for your question. The results of the hub consultation that was undertaken last year around the 3 variations are due to be presented to Council this month for their review. And then post that, we will take direction from Council as to the next steps, and that will also be accompanied with an update to the project page that will lay out the timelines.
Okay, so that means that we will find out by the end of this month or the beginning of next month?
We should have the website updated probably by April for sure.
Thank you.
But it will be. I will call you if any change to that timeline is experienced. Okay.
Thank you very much.
No problem, Sue.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Forster. Thank you, Ms Mastrogianni. Ms Weatherall, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our next question is from Mr Talbot, who's got a question in regards to homelessness and another question in regards to amenity in the Springvale area. If Mr Talbot would like to come up to the microphone, please.
Yes, certainly.
Thank you, Mr Talbot.
Bruce Talbot's my name. I'm a 20-year shopper around Springvale, and my partner used to run a business there for quite a few years, and we've got to know quite a few of the shops there, and we're sort of bogged in there. And we use the medicos there, and the chemists, so we're sort of bogged in the area, you know. And I've noticed over a period of years that Springvale is a dump in a lot of ways. I'm sorry to say that. We have beggars around there who actually get under your feet, and they become dangerous, you know. And if you fall over, a bloke of my age, which is 79, his bones are not going to heal too well, you know. And also we have unlicensed street vendors there, you know, and I know they're poor and they want to make a quid, but they get in your road, you know. And then we have the actual arcade, which goes from the post office in Springvale Road right down the back, and we have down the back area, it is a little bit restricted down there because it narrows. And then we have the fish shop, he puts his boxes there. And then we have down the back, we have the greengrocers. They end up putting their wares in the alleyway, and you can't get past them because people are trying to get the fruit and veggies and all that sort of thing. And then you'll have somebody on a walker. They have to wait. It's just a mess, you know. And I put this to Councillor Lim to see what we can do to clean the whole place up. And unfortunately, I got some rather unusual answers from him. And the answers I got from him was, I've been around to the police station, I've tried to clean the beggars out, but there's no laws regarding beggars. And I'm saying, why do you go to the police department if there's no law governing beggars? I said, it doesn't make sense to me. So I bowled around to the police station and I asked them. And they said, yes, there is laws for beggars. You know, there is begging laws, and within 2 weeks we are going to set up a group of people and we're going to clear out the beggars, and what we're going to do is to arrest them, and we're going to bail them on the conditions that they don't come back to Springvale. That was what I heard from the police officer. So that's good, something's done. You with me? And when I went to Senator Lim here, he turned around and said, I don't know what to do on this one.
Mr Talbot, sorry to interrupt you. I know
Yes.
I can hear your concerns. I'm just wondering if you could please put forward a question for our council staff to answer, please.
Yes.
I know, great context. And thank you.
Right. The actual question is
Please.
whether we can put some signs up around Springvale to say begging and unauthorised fruit peddlers and all this sort of thing can be prosecuted.
So,
And that might cut down this stuff that's going on in Springvale. And also, can the council, in their wisdom,
clear out the boxes and everything in that front arcade that goes down from Springvale Road, because people just can't move and it's dangerous. So that's my main
Thank you,
concern.
Mr Talbot. Thank you. So I'll put the question to Mr Bosman, please, if you could answer.
Madam Mayor, thank you. Through yourself to Mr Talbot. Firstly, I'd like to, if I can, defend Councillor Lim. Councillor Lim has, together with me personally and my officers, have been out to Springvale Activity Centre a number of times, have walked the area, have intervened where we've been able to intervene. I have an officer that is out there on a daily basis, that's there basically as a dedicated resource. And you will have noticed, hopefully you will have noticed, that the street vendors that you're talking about that are selling vegetables have by and large improved by about 80%. There's only one or two that are persisting that we haven't managed to move on. With regard to pallets on footpaths, we've cleared out all the pallets that are on the footpath. With regard to the boxes within the arcade, again, we are dealing then with the fish shop and a couple of the other traders there. You will notice a yellow line that has gone down the arcade, and by and large, most of the time, the boxes are behind the yellow line. Again, it's not 100% compliance, but it is a matter that between Councillor Lim and my officers, we regularly inspect, and my officer that is on duty there every day is bringing about a change. There are a number of the issues that happen in the area that council officers have no authority or jurisdiction to intervene on. Begging is one of them. That is a police matter. And even then, you would have seen this weekend that those beggars have been moved out, but that doesn't stop them coming back. And we are no different to the City of Melbourne, for example, with their huge budget and resources that it also has not managed to solve that problem. But we will keep persisting. When it comes to the homelessness, the people that are sleeping on the streets, again, that is not within the jurisdiction or authority of council to intervene. We cannot go along and arrest people, but we do have, together with my colleague, Mr Foster, in our liaison with outreach groups like Launch Housing, etc., a program where they are approached and offered accommodation. And believe it or not, not everybody wants to be given accommodation. They prefer to sleep on the streets. This is a complex social issue, and it's not solved by purely taking punitive steps. It's a complex issue that requires complex responses. And I do believe that the amount of effort that we're putting into it is the amount of effort that has already seen improvements. It will continue to be put in, and hopefully we'll continue to see improvements. And we meet weekly with Councillor Lim to report back and, in fact, to walk the streets with Councillor Lim. So hopefully, Mr Talbot, in the weeks and the months ahead, we will continue to see improvements, albeit maybe small improvements as we go in, but that we do see improvements. And I don't believe that Springvale Activity Centre is a dump. In fact, I think it has improved quite remarkably, and it's a vibrant centre, but it does have its problems, and we'll continue to attempt to attend to those problems.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. I'm sorry, Mr Talbot, I believe you've had your two questions answered. I do need to move on to the other public questions. Thank you.
I can just say something for a second.
Sure, Councillor
as a
Member.
councillor that sits around this chamber and in council briefing meetings, I can actually stand up for Councillor Lim, who has brought this to council on many, many occasions. And I've been in a room when we've had police officers at present, and Councillor Lim has raised it many, many times. This council continues to have a problem, not only in Springvale, but Noble Park and Dandenong. Unfortunately, since COVID, there has been many, many people that have been living rough. So I can actually stand up for Councillor Lim, and I've heard him personally on many, many occasions bring it to council and to the police.
Thank you, Councillor Mehmeti. Ms Weatherall, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our next question is from Louisa Willoughby of Springvale, and regarding people seeking asylum and refugee action plan. At the last meeting, Councillor Garrett asked for the status of the successor plan to the People Seeking Asylum and Refugee Action Plan 2018 to 21. While a status was given, there was no indication of timeframes for completion, particularly important given that the current plan ran out in December 21, timeframes for public exhibition, when it's expected to be on our public website. I'm particularly interested in B and C as there's a high degree of public interest in people seeking asylum and refugee issues amongst Greater Dandenong residents. Following on from the question, in the second part, following on from the question from Councillor Garrett about Living Melbourne at the last meeting, officers were going to make contact with Living Melbourne at the end of February. What was the result of that contact? So the first part, I'll ask the Director of Community Strengthening, Mr Forster, to answer.
Thank you, Mr Forster, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Ms Willoughby, for your question. The one-page thematic plan endorsed by Council on the 12th of September 2022 is current until the 30 June 2025, but does not have specific timeframes for individual actions. The plan highlights broad category domains for potential actions and next steps. The next steps is for the Multicultural and People Seeking Asylum Advisory Committee, or MAPSAC, members to map out the appropriate networks and identify gaps and opportunities for work group formation. This is an agenda item for discussion at the 23rd of March MAPSAC meeting with the new committee members, if endorsed tonight. Timeframes for actions will be the responsibility of the formed working group, and this information will be included in MAPSAC minutes once they are formulated. The thematic plan is available on Council's website for public viewing on the Multiculturalism and People Seeking Asylum landing page. No formal public exhibition is to be held and, as mentioned above, any detailed planned action arising from the working group that are formed will be made available for public viewing when Council formally notes the MAPSAC minutes at the designated Council meeting. The MAPSAC councillor representatives are available to take specific questions in relation to these, if required.
Thank you, Mr Forster. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you. For the second part, in regards to our Living Melbourne response, can I ask our Director for Planning to respond?
Thank you. Mr Bosman, please.
Madam Mayor, thank you through yourself to Ms Willoughby. With regard to the Living Melbourne program, that's council officers, have now contacted Living Melbourne, who have advised that the future of the program is currently unknown. This is due to the lack of funding. The operators of the program are currently investigating options to fund Living Melbourne into the future, and also whether an appropriate governance model for the program can be established. Council officers are now awaiting the outcome of that work. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Ms Weatherall, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And our next question is from Pam Naylor of Noble Park. And the question concerns Greater Dandenong Climate Change Community Engagement and Mobilisation Plan. When is the consultation for the general public on the Greater Dandenong Climate Change Community Engagement and Mobilisation Plan going to start? Can I ask Mr Bosman to respond, please?
Thank you. Mr Bosman, please.
Madam Mayor, through yourself to Ms Naylor, officers are currently finalising the survey for the general public consultation for the Climate Change Community Engagement and Mobilisation Plan, and it's intended that this consultation will commence by the end of March.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Another question from Tam Naylor of Noble Park. It's in regard to the concept plan for the new park on Railway Parade and Pamela Street. What is the status and timeframes regarding the concept plan for the new park at the corner of Railway Parade and Pamela Street, Noble Park? The site was purchased 2.5 years ago and yet nothing has happened to date. Can I ask Mr Bosman to respond again?
Thank you. Mr Bosman, please.
Madam Mayor, thank you again through yourself to Ms Naylor. The development of the park at 218 Railway Parade, Noble Park, is awaiting funding to be allocated to the project. Another funding bid has been submitted for the 2023-24 financial year, which will be considered as part of the upcoming annual budget process. Once the project is funded, a concept plan will be developed prior to the works commencing. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And the third question from Ms Naylor is, in regards to Greater Dandenong Mobile Sustainability Trailer, what's the status and timeframes of the Greater Dandenong Mobile Sustainability Trailer? Can I ask Mr Bosman to respond?
Mr Bosman, please.
Madam Mayor, through yourself to Ms Naylor, council officers have undertaken a tender process to acquire an appropriate trailer on a number of occasions, however have not been successful in obtaining responses to the tenders. And I might add that apart from just going out to tender in a normal tender process, we've actually gone out and directly approached people in a bespoke tender process, and even there we were unable to get any interest. So council officers are now working on purchasing an electric van that could be utilised for the purpose of an environmental vehicle by the waste, parks and sustainability teams. It'll be fitted out for that purpose, and I think the fact that it's an electric vehicle, an electric van, is in and itself a great message. It is currently anticipated to have finalised the purchase by the end of this financial year. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Ms Wetherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And the next question is from Monica Singh of Dandenong concerning the Dandenong Community Hub design. When will detailed design of the Community Hub start? Can I ask Mr Forster to respond to that?
Thank you. Mr Forster, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Ms Singh, for your question. The results from the Dandenong Community Hub consultation are scheduled to be presented to Council later this month. Then, based on further Council instruction, a report will subsequently be committed for endorsement at a formal Council meeting. Following endorsement by Council, the project page on the website will be updated and all stakeholders advised.
Thank you, Mr Forster. Ms Wetherall.
Thank you. Our next question is from Elizabeth Grasso of Keysborough, and it concerns the Greater Dandenong Biodiversity Action Plan. When is the Greater Dandenong Biodiversity Action Plan coming to a council meeting for endorsement? Can I ask Mr Kearsley to respond, please?
Mr Kearsley, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, I can advise that we anticipate presenting the report to Council for adoption at the meeting on the 24th of April 2023.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Ms Wetherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The next question is from Mr Matthew Kerwin of Noble Park, and it concerns pedestrian deaths. He outlines the age reported on 13th of March that Greater Dandenong had the second most pedestrian deaths of any Melbourne LGA in the past 10 years. I know the great work that Greater Dandenong Transport Team do reducing pedestrian deaths on roads that Council controls. The problem seems to be on state-controlled roads like Princess Highway, Heatherton Road, Springvale Road and Stud Road. I've noticed unsafe crossings by pedestrians on these roads over the years, often at locations like Springvale section of Princess Highway and the Dandenong North section of Stud Road, where there are long sections without safe pedestrian crossings, whether pedestrian signals or pedestrian overpasses, the latter which are rare in Greater Dandenong for some reason. Other than the Dandenong North section of Stud Road, which Greater Dandenong has been advocating for a crossing near McPhee's Road for many years, what are the other hotspots of pedestrian deaths and near misses that Greater Dandenong Council have identified, and what advocacy is being undertaken? Can I ask Mr Kersley to respond, please?
Thank you. Mr Kersley, please.
Thank you, Mr Kerwin, for your question. And yes, I also noted that particular report in The Age on the weekend, or actually on Monday. Thank you for your inquiry regarding pedestrian fatalities in Greater Dandenong and acknowledgement of the great work Council is undertaking to ensure the roads that we manage are as safe as possible for all road users. We are aware of the 15 pedestrian deaths in Greater Dandenong in the last 10 years, of which 13 have occurred on Victorian state-managed arterial roads. Some of the locations where these occurred have been subject to road safety treatment since, including new signals on Springvale Road and Heatherton Road, and reduced speed limits on Princess Highway. Pedestrian detectors have also been installed at a number of signals as part of the Victorian Government's Smarter Roads program. Council has been advocating for a number of high-priority road safety projects for pedestrians on arterial roads. Our number one pedestrian road safety project is a safe pedestrian crossing on Stud Road at McPhee's Road near the Dandenong Basketball Stadium. Our officers have been working with the Department of Transport and Planning to finalise designs for signals, and we believe the Victorian Government needs to fund these signals as a matter of urgency. We've also recently advocating for pedestrian improvements on Heatherton Road in Noble Park, including signals and consideration of reduced speed limits. We believe education also has a critical role to play, particularly with erratic and unsafe pedestrian behaviour, including crossing at unsafe locations, contributing to several accidents on arterial roads. As part of our road safety strategy, Council continues to advocate to the Victorian Government for ongoing investment in pedestrian safety education. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And Mr Kerwin's second question concerns new street light in Cyril Grove. Previously, I've asked about the installation of a new street light at Cyril Grove Noble Park between Railway Parade and Blamey Avenue. I've been informed at a council meeting late last year it should be installed before or just after Christmas. However, it's not yet been installed. What's the expected time frame now? Can I ask Mr Kearsley to respond, please?
Thank you. Mr Kearsley, please.
Thank you, and thank you to Mr Kerwin for the question. I can advise that further to your previous public question, on the 12th of September, Council completed a Lux level audit of the public lighting in Cyril Grove Noble Park, particularly near Railway Parade, and our asset management team identified and arranged with United Energy for the repair of 2 faulty lights in Cyril Grove which had not been working, and requested the installation of an additional light. Council raised a purchase order with United Energy last year, and we are continuing to follow up with United Energy as to the cause of the delay of the installation. At this time, we do not have a time frame from United Energy as to the installation, but will provide an update when we receive a response, and we'll be following up with United Energy this week. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you. And Mr Kerwin's third question concerns Council's quarterly performance report. His question relates to the Council minutes of Monday 13th February, specifically Council Report 4.1.3, which concerned the Council quarterly performance report. In regards to a draft Greater Dandenong Community Safety Plan 2022 to 2026, what general public input was there in the priorities of that plan, and if so, with who and how was the information gathered? If there was not any general public input gathered, how is that justified given that crime and community safety are such key topics of interest to the broader community? Can I ask our Director for Community Strengthening, Mr Forster, to respond, please?
Thank you. Mr Forster, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mr Kerwin, for your question. The draft Community Safety Plan utilised documentation of community feedback, including the 2021 Community Engagement and Deliberative Panel work for the Council Plan, Local Government Community Satisfaction Survey, Hemming Street Precinct Survey, and the Empowering Communities Ministerial Forum. Substantial community consultation also occurred with the Safer Streets initiative pilot, with traders and business owners operating in the Dandenong Activity Centre, particularly those from Lonsdale and Thomas streets, with individual community safety forums taking place for each group. The draft plan and next steps will be considered at the Council Law briefing session on 20 March. Council may direct to put the draft safety plan out for further public comment if they consider further consultation is desired. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Forster. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our next question is from Tina Kongs of Dandenong, concerning Dandenong Community Hub. It's now been almost 4 months since the consultation on 3 concept designs for Dandenong Community Hub. When will a detailed public consultation report with the actual public responses, like 2020 Keysborough South Community Hub design consultation, be put on the Council website? I think Mr Forster's already answered this evening, but I'll just get him to respond, please.
Thank you. Mr Forster, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Ms Congas, for your question. Yes, the results from the Community Hub consultation in 2022 determine a preferred concept design have been prepared into a report that will be presented to councillors this month, and then based on further council instruction, a report will subsequently be scheduled for endorsement at a formal council meeting, and then post that we will update the council's website as to the progress of the project.
Thank you, Mr Forster. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And our last question for this evening is from Gay Guest of Keysborough. It concerns the cat curfew and tree protections. Why is the information schedule on cat curfews and tree protection scheduling for the same night as council meeting? It's a waste of resources when councillors cannot be in attendance. Who will turn up to make it worthwhile? With overhead expenses are blowing out of the water, residents expect our rates to be used wisely and frugally, so please reschedule events, information sessions that clash so there's no overlap. This is just ridiculous, shows the ad hoc nature of our local laws are regarded by council staff and officers. The information session tonight needed to be cancelled and rescheduled. You need someone who can time manage and manage budgets, overseeing all these pop-up events which do cost money and labour. I can ask Mr Bosman for a response, please.
Thank you. Mr Bosman, please.
Madam Mayor, thank you through yourself to Ms Guest. Council have 3 drop-in sessions already scheduled across the municipality. So it's not just tonight's one, there are 3 sessions scheduled. The first is at Tadison Park tonight, the second is at Springvale Town Hall tomorrow night, being the 15th of March, and the third is at Dandenong Civic Centre next Wednesday, the 22nd of March. Members of the public and councillors are invited to attend all of these sessions. So we've spread them across the municipality, they're not by ward, and anybody can attend any of the sessions or all of the sessions. The drop-in session tonight is one of many elements of an extensive community consultation program on the cat curfew and the tree protection local law, including the Greater Dandenong Council News magazine, distribution of A5 flyers on a mailing list, distribution of coloured posters, advertising on interactive screens within Dandenong and Springvale civic centres, a targeted social media campaign, media releases, information and surveys the survey on the council's website, meeting attendance and presentations. There's a community satisfaction survey, the Hemming Street Precinct survey. So just let me go back to my... And there are three drop-in sessions in the Dandenong Park, Springvale and Noble Park, as I mentioned earlier. And Council also recognises the complex nature of consulting, and given we have such a diverse community within Greater Dandenong, Council has utilised many tools and approaches available in also taking a targeted approach to consultation. And this has included reaching out directly to at least 18 community groups with language translation, social media and face-to-face interactions. Based on the comprehensive and the extent of the community consultation program, tonight's drop-in session will not be rescheduled. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's been brought to my attention there's one more speaker who'd like to come up and ask their questions, and that is Maria Sampi, a past councillor who's got a couple of different questions. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Weatherall. Thank you, Ms Sampi.
And I'm talking about cats as well. What the issue is that back in 2018 I met with Peter Shelton and Daniel Moulter and with Carol Larter from Dandy Cat Rescue, and that was before Rod Burke came on the scene in 2019 to discuss the amount of stray cats and kittens that were being born in our city, and that it was placing a huge burden on people like the animal shelters and organisations like Dandy Cat Rescue. They operate on an oily rag and basically are doing the work of the council in looking after stray kittens where irresponsible residents fail to 1. Register the animal and 2. Fail to get their cats neutered or spayed. The problem in our city is not the normal cats by responsible owners, but the stray cats that have been fixed up, that have not been fixed up by irresponsible owners. Money was going to be set aside by council so that the organisations would work together to provide a positive solution to the problem of stray cats roaming our city. Making borrowing the cat cage for $155 is a huge amount for the average resident. Even though the money is returned to the resident once the cage is returned, that is basically a service that the council should be providing. I went on the website tonight and it said that we've got 600 to 900 cats, feral cats in our city, and that after 6 weeks these cats then produce, a litter of kittens, and so therefore it keeps multiplying. So then I went on to the Springvale Community Hub customer service where it was underlined to take me further, and once you click on that page, then it states, oops, we can't seem to find the page you were looking for, so there must be a glitch in it. So could someone check out the website? So my question tonight is, can council officers in the residential amenities section organised to meet once again with people from Dandy Cat Rescue or animal shelters and work with them, because for the simple reason that, you know, kittens are dumped onto them. Carol does a marvellous job. She, you know, is feeding kittens, you know, every couple of hours, even during the night, to try and make them survive. But, you know, we need to be working. It's these stray animals. Now, across the road from me, they've got animals that haven't been registered. But, you know, you can't do anything about that either. So I think if council could meet with these organisations, because funding was going to be provided to these organisations, because these organisations are just surviving on donations by residents, and most of the time they put money out of their own pockets. So I think we need to, you know, before we say 24/7 about keeping your cats in, let's solve the problem of all these feral cats that are in the area.
Thank you, Ms Sampi. What I might do is I might give the relevant officer an opportunity to answer your question, and then we can go on to your next question. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr Bosman, please.
Madam Mayor, thank you through yourself. Hello, Maria, how are you? Look, the matter, as you pointed out, about cats and stray cats, the feral cats, there are different types. There's the semi-wild, there's the wild, there's the domestic cats, etc. It's a very difficult situation. And before one goes in and dishes out money, before one goes into anything, we actually have to have a strategy in place. And we've got out in the public space at the moment a cat strategy, and the cat strategy addresses all of the issues, in fact, that you've been talking about, how to work with the other organisations. It talks about the irresponsible cat owners. It talks about maybe some strategy. It talks about a strategy of the semi-owned cats becoming properly looked after and owned, and it's a suite of actions and reactions to the matter. The cat curfew is just one of the tools within the cat strategy. It's not the only one in the cat strategy.
But how do you put a cat curfew on a feral cat?
No, this is the problem. You can't put and to resolve the feral cat issue, there's part of you'll never resolve it completely. You cannot stop feral cats. It's just impossible. But what you can do is reduce the number of semi-wild cats, semi-owned cats, and by doing that, you limiting that number, increasing the number of wild and feral cats. And all of that is explained in detail in the cat strategy. Part of the feedback that we are looking for is exactly what you're doing tonight, Maria, is that we want that as feedback in our survey. And talking about the link, I had a look at that as well, and it looks like we do have a bit of a glitch. We'll have that fixed by tomorrow morning. There seems to be maybe it was a feral cat that got in there, or some gremlin maybe that got in there. But yes, it's that kind of feedback, the feedback on the cages, the feedback on working with other agencies. You would have heard that in my response to an earlier question, I mentioned how many of other agencies and community groups that we'd reached out to. And amongst those are agencies and community groups that are directly involved, veterinarian groups, etc., directly involved in this space. So we are reaching out to them. We are getting input from them as well. The input that you've given tonight will form part of that. And if you want to, please go onto the survey and make other comments. All of that needs to be brought together and considered in a report that will ultimately come back to the councillors for consideration to take a decision on whether or not to proceed with the cat curfew as a component of the cat strategy, whether that should be 24 hours or from dusk to dawn, and so forth. So those comments are all welcomed, and please don't be shy to put them in as soon as possible.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Ms Sampi, I believe you've got a second question. If you can make that quite succinct, that'll be great. Thank you.
How many questions do we have? 2 or 3?
I believe you've got
3. Madam Mayor, there's 2 and 3 I think could be combined because they both concern printing issues.
Well, I'm wanting to, with regard to the senior citizens dance that happened last year, basically it was advertised in the September issue of the magazine, and it was on that first week in September, and we didn't get ours in Aberdeen Drive until the second week. So there was a lot of people that didn't attend because they didn't know about it. So could some councillor take it on board to, with regard to organising the seniors dance, because when I was on council I took it on board. It's a matter of getting the seniors to socialise. It's a great opportunity, but it needs to be advertised in August rather than the same month that it's on. So I'm just wanting to ensure that this year it's advertised the month before.
Okay, thank you, Ms Sampi. I might ask Mr Forster to respond to that.
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you, Ms Sampi, for your question. Yes, certainly can take that on board. We will make sure that the seniors dance is advertised in plenty of time. The advertisement in the council news is just one of the ways that we reach out, as you well know, to seniors clubs to make sure.
Well, I'm a senior now.
that they're aware of that opportunity, along with all of the other opportunities that this council provides during Seniors Festival. So happy to make sure that we do that.
Thank you, Mr
Okay.
Forster.
And my last question is, with regard to the community calendar, has anyone seen that,
Sorry, Ms Sampi.
in the August, it's got the 17th twice. Now, the same mistake was done last year as well. So, I'm just wondering, who's doing the proofreading?
Thank you, Ms
Through you,
Sampi.
Madam Mayor, we'll take that on board. Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
thank
thank
you,
you.
Ms Sampi. Item 4, Officers' Reports, Part 2. Item 4.1, Policy and Strategy. 4.1.1, Review of Council Policies, Flag Flying Policy 2023. Moved by Councillor Garrard, seconded by Councillor Long. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 4.2, Other. 4.2.1, Proposed motions for the Municipal Association of Victoria State Council meeting and the Australian Local Government Association National General Assembly. Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move an alternate.
And would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, you want me to speak
yes,
to the
please.
alternate?
What is your alternate?
So I'm proposing that we accept the other motions, but in addition that we ask ALGA and the local representative organisation to ensure that the federal government recognises the important work that local government does in reducing emissions, and that it measures that work, and that it actually recognises the investment that local government are making, the important contribution local government is making, and also talk about how they are supporting local government to remove barriers to reducing emissions, and also to discuss the sources of federal funding that will be available to local government in partnership with the federal government to reduce emissions. And this is in light of the call last year for a $200 million fund to be set aside for local government to deal with climate change.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Garrard. Is there a seconder for this alternate motion? Seconded by Councillor O'Reilly. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition?
I just want to record an abstention, Mayor.
Okay, an abstention recorded by Councillor Dark.
What's it called?
Is there any other opposition? No. There's no opposition, so I declare this item carried. Thank you. Item 4.2.2. Multicultural and People Seeking Asylum Advisory Committee member nominations. Moved by Councillor Garrard, seconded by Councillor O'Reilly. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 4.2.3, List of registered correspondence to mayors and councillors. Moved by Councillor Trung, seconded by Councillor Lim. Are there any questions? Any opposition? Oh, did you want to, have you got a question, Councillor Dark?
Yes, I do have a
Okay.
question to the relevant officer. I understand that in the correspondence we received some correspondence from the Sri Lankan consulate, I believe it is, with regards to establishing sister city relationships. Given that our relationship with, I suppose, China is not in the strongest of lights at the moment, and given that we are an economic powerhouse in terms of manufacturing, is this council having any conversations or following up with that letter regarding potentially any business opportunities for us to be able to export products or anything like that?
Thank you, Councillor Dark. Mr Kearsley, would you like to respond to that?
Thank you, Councillor. Actually, the first time I became aware of that particular letter was when I read the agenda. I think that letter has gone through to Corporate Services, so I'll follow up with that in terms of its content and answer your question through an email in terms of what they're actually after and also how we can reciprocate.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Are there any further questions regarding this item? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 5, notices of motion. There are no notices of motion, I believe, so we'll move on to item 6, reports from councillors, delegated members and councillor questions. Councillor Trung, would you like to start, please? Thank you. Councillor O'Reilly?
No report this meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Garrard?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I'd like to start actually by thanking yourself for signing the City of Greater Dandenong up to a joint letter petitioning the Premier of Victoria to take actions around gambling reform. The combined 6 councils that signed on to the joint letter are combined responsible for about $100 million in losses through poker machines, and also that they account for about 43% of the national losses, so significant gambling losses. And the City of Greater Dandenong is the lowest SES, has the lowest income in the state, and $102 million, which we lose each year, is beyond what this community can afford to lose. So I thank you for signing us on to that letter and for petitioning the Premier to take action, particularly around the gambling card, the pre-commitment gambling card, which has been proven to be one of the most successful strategies in reducing gambling. I would also like to ask a question without notice regarding cats. We seem to have a cat theme happening tonight. Residents have conveyed to me concern regarding registering their pets because they have not registered them for a couple of years. And I noticed that the City of Monash has charged significant back fees in cat registration. My question tonight is, would the Council consider an amnesty on back fees for registering cats, given that we are trying to encourage people to register their cats right now?
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Mr Bosman, please.
Madam Mayor, I think that's a really worthwhile consideration, Councillor, and let me investigate that. Obviously, it's not up to me to make that decision. I wish I had the decision to make budgetary decisions on an autonomous basis. But let me have a look at that. Let me, maybe at the next CBS, have that conversation then with councillors, and if we can offer an amnesty, maybe it would be a great step forward in helping get to the point that we want to in our strategy in getting a more a better base of responsible cat ownership. So thank you. I think it's seriously worth considering.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My next series of questions regarding the proposed redevelopment of the aquatic centre in Dandenong. My first question is, my first statement is that we lost last year at Oasis about $1.5 million. At the Noble Park Aquatic Centre was a loss a little bit less, around 1.4, so close to a $3 million loss in the last financial year for both of those aquatic centres. My question is, what percentage of the Dandenong population use both Oasis and the Noble Park Aquatic Centre?
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Mr Forster, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you, Councillor Garrard, for your question. In regards to the percentage of the Dandenong population who use Oasis and MPAC, we've made some inquiries with South East Leisure, and I can report that 68% of the current members.
Sorry, Mr. Forster, are you able to perhaps bring the microphone a bit closer?
Sure. Better? Sorry,
Sorry, I can't hear you.
no good. Okay. 68% of current members live in Greater Dandenong for Oasis. That includes swim lessons, and 69%, and health and wellness memberships at 66%. In regards to NPAC, 88% of the current members live in Greater Dandenong, and that includes swim lessons, 90%, and health and wellness memberships at 84%.
Thank you, Mr. Forster.
Thank you,
Councillor
Madam
Garrard.
Mayor. I think the question was misunderstood. So the question was around of the population of Dandenong, what was the percentage, not of the users that currently use the facility. So if we can take that on notice, and if that could be forthcoming, it's important information. My next question is, what percentage of the respective losses are attributed to utilities, as in energy and water?
Thank you, Mr. Forster.
Through you, Madam Mayor, Oasis Utilities, which is electricity, gas and water, accounted for $642,000, which represents approximately 32% of the above-mentioned net loss, or the subsidy that's paid to by council. For NPAC, utilities, that gas and electricity and water, amounted to $366,000, which represents approximately 30% of the net loss or subsidy to council.
Thank you, Mr. Forster.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So around over a third of the losses are attributed to energy and water and gas. What percentage of the respective losses are attributed to maintenance?
Mr. Forster, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, a significant amount of the maintenance is reactive in scope. South East Leisure's maintenance costs year to date are at $270,000, and this, as a percentage of operating costs, will be calculated at the end of the financial year. It's important to note that these figures exclude additional or major maintenance items that are undertaken by council.
Thank you, Mr. Forster. Councillor Garrard, please.
So we can surmise they're significant. The maintenance costs are significant. So the combined maintenance, energy and water are significant costs to this council. One reason for replacing Oasis is to reduce the significant financial losses. Therefore, it is critical that design has a high level of energy efficiency. What is the mean energy performance index or energy utilisation index of the new design?
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Mr. Kearsley, please.
Thank you. What I can say is the new DWC will be much more efficient than what we've heard with regards to the current Oasis facility. The centre energy usage intensity was calculated to be 204 kilowatt hours per square metre, including the PV on the roof. The energy usage intensity of 204 kilowatts per hour of square metre compares favourably with other facilities located in Victoria that typically range between 415 to 1,606 kilowatt hours per square metre, mostly because all of them are still using gas as a primary heat supply, and some with cogeneration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kearsley. Councillor Garrard.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that information. Relative to facilities using a lot of energy, that may be reduced, but relative to newer facilities, that's actually quite a high percentage of usage. Madam Mayor, the last construction cost we heard was around $98 million without contingencies. Normally, a project owner gives a cost figure to the architect to work towards. What figure was provided?
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Mr. Kearsley, please.
Thank you. With regard to the statement, the last construction cost estimate is $98 million without contingencies. I need to point out and clarify that that is not a correct statement. The total project budget, as at the end of detailed design, is estimated to be $98.4 million, which includes design and construction contingencies, construction cost escalation, and all other associated project costs, such as consultancy fees and authority fees. The contingencies and escalations attribute approximately $11.5 million to the $98.4 million total project cost figure. The budget nominated in the design contract was $53 million for the construction of the DW facility only. The figure of $53 million also does not include contingencies or escalations. The figure of $53 million should be compared with the current net cost of $78 million. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Councillor Garrard.
Thank you. Just in that difference between, as a 52 to 78, I think I heard, what is the explanation for that cost difference?
Mr Kearsley, please.
Thank you, Councillor. The difference in cost over the past 2.5 years, based on when the $53 million figure was attributed, is essentially a number of factors, one being the significant cost escalation driven by the market in the order of 19.4% according to the ABS. Some trades and materials, as we know, have escalated beyond 19.4%. We're living in very different times to what it was back when the $53 million figure was estimated. Additional scope of works in addition to the 53 include the following: 1, a sports pavilion; 2, extensive external precinct works, including 350 car parking spaces, access roads, public plaza, footpaths and landscaping; amenity design response to identified community need; the provision of being above and beyond Green Star, five-star Green Star initiatives, above council policy requirements.
I'd just like to
Sorry,
point of order.
Councillor Garrard, I believe there's no point of order. I think Mr Kearsley's just responding.
I'd like to interrupt because the information he's giving is not correct. I've asked for the difference in the pool price, not the additional elements such as the redevelopment of the sporting fields.
Perhaps we can allow Mr Kearsley to answer the question and then complete answering the question, and then perhaps you can seek clarification.
Just an answer to the question, yeah.
Sorry, I'm just answering the difference between the two prices.
Continue, Mr Kearsley.
Thank you. High quality finishes and facade enhancements, and I think that might be it. Yes, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Mr Kearsley. Councillor Garrard?
Yeah, if I could ask for a more succinct question and response to that question, just simply what is, and I'll take that in writing, but what is the difference between the cost, the initial cost of the pool, which was $53 million, and now the cost of the pool aquatic centre, which is $78, not the additional redevelopment of the sporting facilities or the car park. The business case for the Dandenong Aquatic Centre says there'll be a dramatic rise in the number of users. On what basis has this assumption been made? And in years 1 to 5, what are the projected increases in patronage?
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Mr Kearsley.
Thank you. With regards to the questions on the business case, I can advise that a significant increase in visitation numbers is expected in accordance with the significant increase in the service program and facility offering that will be provided at the DWC as a comparison to currently at Oasis. In addition to the provision of an accessible, inclusive and fit-for-purpose spaces that respond to identified community need and are tailored to the needs of CGD's unique community. With regards to projected attendance numbers, we are expecting in year 1 715,000 and increasing to 881,000 in year 5. By comparison, Oasis had 476,000 visitors in the 2018-2019 pre-COVID year. This represents an increase of 72% based on the 5-year average. These projections are conservative when compared to other similar centres, and recently we've understood that Brimbank, which has recently opened a new centre and has a similar community to ours, has seen a huge uptake in the numbers attending the centre, I believe in addition to what they had originally specified. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
My two last questions are of the...
Just letting you know, Councillor Garrard, you've probably got 2 minutes left.
That of the projected increase in patronage, what percentage are from the residents from within the City of Greater Dandenong? And the final question is, since the estimated cost has ballooned so significantly, how relevant is the business case now, and do we need to look at that? Happy to put them on notice.
I'll put that to Mr Kearsley. I think you've got time to answer that.
Thank you. I have to take that first part on notice with regards to the percentage of local residents that we believe will visit the centre. With regards to the question on the business case, it provides an investment and delivery case for DWC. It demonstrates why a new centre is required and the positive impact that will have on the community. It outlines a broad range of economic, social, community and environmental benefits that will be realised through the delivery of the DWC, including a preventative health saving, or what we call a social value, of approximately $8.9 million per annum. It should also be noted that the federal government grant, which was for $20 million for both DWC and MPAC, of which we've allocated $17.7 million against DWC, was essentially provided to this council based on the business case. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Councillor Long, please.
These are some of the events that I've attended since my last formal meeting. 28th of February, I attended the 7 breakfast at the council chamber. Later that morning, I attended an online meeting with DNPL board. In the afternoon, I attended a 100th birthday party for Dorothy Hudson at Park Glen Retirement Village in Keysborough. She had a great time having a ride on the back of a motorbike. On the 8th of March, International Women's Day, I attended a breakfast at Springvale City Hall hosted by Callista College and Greater Dandenong. That night I attended, on behalf of the Mayor, the opening of She, of Body and Mind exhibition at the Walker Street Gallery. 9th of March, I attended the 33rd anniversary of the Napoli Family Club in Menzies Avenue Hall. And on the 14th of March, which is today, I attended a meeting with Ian Clark at the Melbourne Cable Park in Bangham. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Long. Councillor Tan, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to be quick, so... So firstly, just want to report the events I attended to as well. So on the 4th of March, I attended the Noah Park Community Fun Days, which is known as Noah Park Big Day Out. So it was a successful event. So we've got approximately around 5,500 people attend on that day. And I just want to say thank you so much to our council, festival and events, youth, family service, staff, sponsors, all the volunteers for their great work, and also just want to say thank you to the Noble Park Revitalisation Board as well for contributing some funding toward these events. Also, just need to provide some feedback. So on a day, I met a few parents that attended on a day, so they would like to, just for us in the future, if we can provide more activities for the kids. So usually, you know, for little kids, so they can have more activities to do on a day, that'd be great. On the 5th of March, which is Clean Up Australia Day, so I attended with the, which was organised by the Cambodian Association of Victoria. So we've got around 12-15 people clean around local shopping centre in Noah Park area, local street, you know, and local park as well. So I just want to say thank you to all the volunteers for their great work, especially, you know, helping to make our local park and shopping centre and road clean and beautiful. My question for tonight, which is a following up question. So this is regarding to a traffic issue at Huntsman Drive, Noble Park, through you, Madam Mayor, just to the relevant officer. So this concern from the elderly resident just regarding to some overspeed issue and also too many cars parked on the road, on the street, which is both sides, and there's 2 trucks blocked on the driveway as well. So any update on this?
Thank you, Councillor Tan. Mr Kearsley.
Thank you, Councillor. If you could provide those details, it may be a combined effort between the traffic group in my area, but also Mr Bosman's local laws in terms of truck enforcement issues. So by all means send the email and the details through and we can follow it up.
Thank you, Mr. Kearsley.
Yeah, I've already sent the email, but I can just resend that to you again just to follow up. Okay, thank you. The second question, again, this is about dump rubbish. As we know, you see last year, based on record, council spent about 2.9 million just for dump rubbish. Just through you, Mayor, just to relevant officer, do we know how much do we get back in terms of reinforcement fine in total?
Thank you, Councillor Tan. Mr. Bosman?
Madam Mayor, thank you through yourself. Councillor Tan, I'll take that question on notice. You're saying how much do we get back as income from fines issued as a result of illegal dumping? Okay, I'll take it on notice and I'll come back to you, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Bosman.
Yes, last question just regarding to dump rubbish again. So this is again on the Joy Parade and Corrigan Road. Could the relevant officer please just check again, because a lot of dump rubbish dumped all the time. So if we can do anything that to get, reduce the dump rubbish, could be CCTV or anything that we can, go through the report and check often, because at the moment, like after you pick it up and then a few weeks back and it's the same thing. So it's happened all the time. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tan. Mr. Bosman.
Madam Mayor, thank you. Councillor Tan, we will put that on, if it's not already on, we'll put it on the hotspots program. We'll have a look at whether we can also add it to the schedule for our CCTV, our mobile CCTV. I'll liaise with Mr. Kearsley in terms of hard rubbish pickup if there's dumped rubbish there. So I will take that on, once I take it on notice. It's not about coming back to you, but making sure that we give it a higher degree of observation and surveillance in that area. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Bosman. Thank you, Councillor Tan. Deputy Mayor Formoso.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to continue on the theme of rubbish, my family and I took on the mammoth effort of Clean Up Australia Day on the 5th of March, which actually entailed Clean Up Noble Park North Ward. We were successful once again in cleaning all 26 parks on the day. It was a stinking hot day, but our efforts were well worth it. We had about 25 volunteers help this time round, which is great, but we can always do with more. So I'm really hoping to promote that a lot more next year and get more of the residents involved. And then we finished up with a wonderful barbecue at Barry Powell Reserve. And then, of course, the storm came in at about 6 p.m. just as we'd finished. So that's how things work out sometimes. But really successful day. Still flabbergasted at the amount of rubbish that we're seeing in our local parks, reserves, and waterways. 7 bags of recyclables. We collected 8 bags of rubbish. This year, a lot less disposable masks, only 9. One of the trending issues that we're having at the moment is the disposable vapes. I found about 12 of those. A broken bench press, carpet rugs, 18 tyres, a broken iPod, which I haven't seen in I don't know how long, that probably belonged in a museum, broken mop and bucket, tons and tons of clothes. So really keen to have council assist us with this initiative. If we're talking about dumped rubbish and that being such an issue in our municipality, why aren't we as a council doing more to promote initiatives like Clean Up Australia Day? You know, I was the one doing all 26 parks in my ward. There was a couple of other groups doing theirs in other wards. But if we're really going to promote and be about cleaning our municipality, we need to be advocating a lot stronger and a lot harder as a council to ensure we're educating the community and obviously our children. The reason I actually went ahead with it this year, I was exhausted, really didn't have the energy to do so, but my kids encouraged me and said, Mum, we've got to do it. It's something we're going to keep doing every single year. So it's because of them and future generations that I continue this mammoth effort, and will continue to do so, whether I'm on council or not. So really the question is, what as we what are we as a council doing to better promote not only this initiative that we've got now, but events like Clean Up Australia Day. This is a perfect opportunity, a national event that takes place every single year where we can approach schools, approach local community groups and do more as a council to promote this event. If the relevant officer could respond, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mr Kearsley or Ms Sprague?
I'm happy to answer some part of it. Essentially, though, it is Ms Sprague who can answer a lot of the communication side of things. As with all matters related to dump rubbish, as you'd heard from me before, it's a suite or a range of actions that we do with regards to the issue of dump rubbish and litter in our parks and in our streets. It's not an easy one to deal with directly. We have, as you probably see outside, the dumped rubbish campaign that is being run at the moment to hopefully get a broader number of people in our community to understand that where they put their rubbish is crucial, and unfortunately, just by dumping it means the community cost is significant with regards to the council having to then pay for somebody else's rubbish to be taken away. Perhaps I could now refer to Ms Sprague for communication side of things.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Ms Sprague, please.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Really only further to Mr Kearsley's comments with regards to Clean Up Australia Day, we do liaise with the organisation. They do provide us with resources. We promote it via our council newsletter. We work very closely with the local media to get that message out. It does largely rely on community groups and individuals registering their event and then them being promoted via their website. But we can certainly look at new initiatives going forward and maybe come back to councillors prior to next year's event with some planned activities.
Thank you, Ms Sprague. Deputy Mayor Formoso.
That would be great. Thank you, Mr Kearsley and Mrs Sprague. That would definitely be needed, and we definitely need to plan that a little bit better for next year's event, knowing very well that it's held the same time every year. So that would be great. I had the pleasure of doing a drive around Noble Park North Ward today with our CEO, Jackie Weatherill, so I really appreciate your time in doing that today. We spent a couple of hours driving around the ward talking about what local residents have been expressing issues of concern within the ward. One of the things that did stand out was obviously the rubbish, but luckily it was quite clean now that I cleaned it up, so that was good. One of the major issues that we have is the lack of sporting grounds facilities, and I even pointed out to Ms Weatherill that we do not have a single multi-purpose court in my ward. For someone that is a PE teacher, constantly promoting activity, constantly promoting the Make Your Move strategy, how can I possibly continue to promote this strategy when we don't have the facilities, all the grounds, all the people promoting it adequately to really do it justice? We are the least active community in our municipality of all of Australia. I mean, take a moment to think about that. All of Australia, we are the least active, and we do not have the facilities, we do not have the initiatives in place to be able to promote that. And I'm sick and tired of standing here week after week complaining about this issue, and which brings me on to the next point. We've got this fantastic initiative that's taking place on the 24th of March. It's called the National Ride to School Bike Day. What have we done as a council to promote this? What have we done to communicate with schools about promoting this? This is our responsibility as a council. It's not just parents, it's not just teachers. We as a council need to be promoting events like this. Another example, we've got your Get Active, Get Moving strategy at the moment. We've got 11 schools participating in this initiative. We have 99 schools in our municipality. This is unacceptable. I'm not going to keep standing here week after week asking what are we doing as a council to keep our residents active. And if you want to talk about health outcomes, physical, mental and everything else that we talk about as a council, this is the This is the grassroots level. This is exactly what we need to get our municipality active again. What are we doing as a council to keep promoting more active residents? What are we doing to promote our facilities? And what are we going to do to change the fact that we've only asked 11 schools to participate in this Get Active, Get Moving strategy? Could I have a response from the appropriate
Thank you,
officer?
Deputy Mayor Formoso. I might ask for Ms Bragg to respond to the promotion side of things, and Mr Forster as well to respond.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. I'm just looking on our website, Councillor Formoso. We do have the Get Active, Get Moving in March website. We've encouraged schools to register. We have even provided an incentive for the first few schools to register. We're working with some other organisations, including South East Leisure, to encourage that. I know we've done some gorgeous little videos of children walking to school to encourage others to get on board, and we've had some great feedback on social media for those. But it is about walking, riding or scooting to and from school, and encouraging any sort of activity amongst children that we can. I'm not sure about how schools were approached, so I'll hand over to Mr Forster for that part of the answer.
Thank you, Ms Bragg. Mr Forster, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor. I'm not sure of the details of how we've communicated with school, but I can certainly take that on notice and respond to the Deputy Mayor on what communication our Children's Services team in particular have had with schools regarding these two events.
Thank you, Mr Forster. Deputy Mayor Formoso.
Look, to say that I'm not happy is an understatement. We need to do more, and that's what this comes down to. We need to do more to get our community active, and we definitely need to start looking at promoting a lot more of these activities and events that are taking place. We need to be approaching schools, we need to be approaching community groups, we need to be doing absolutely everything within our power to get more people moving. I mean, least active municipality in all of Australia. Like, I'll let people think about that for a moment. It's really frightening. Speaking of which, if I could humbly ask the Mayor to write a letter of support for the Barry Power Master Plan to the Honourable Daniel Andrews, as it does fall in his electorate. That project is basically shovel ready, and we need some serious funds to be able to provide the necessary facilities for our residents to be able to get active.
Not a problem.
Thank you. Also had the pleasure of attending a lot of International Women's Day events on the 8th of March, which I'm deeply passionate about. This year's focus was Embracing Equity, which aims to shine a light on the way equal opportunities aren't just enough, and that by embracing equity we can create a truly inclusive world. So it was really good to go out there, a lot of the events that I attended with you, Mayor, to promote the need for this equity for all. So that was a very important day. And also, in addition to Mr Kerwin's letters this evening and questions regarding road safety, yet again another issue that I've been going on about since I've gotten on council: Stud Road crossing, Jackson's Road. What are we doing in terms of the line marking situation? If I could please ask you once again to write a letter to Melissa Horn, the MP, regarding the line marking, please, and also the Stud Road crossing, please, Mayor. That would be greatly appreciated. I don't know how many more letters we need to write until some action is taken.
Not a problem. I will follow up.
It's still not enough. Still not enough. Yep. So really appreciate that. Stud Road is something that we definitely should all be rallying behind. It's an absolute must. I've witnessed a fatality there myself. I also witnessed a fatality not within our municipality, but on Wellington Road just last week, which was horrific. Another pedestrian was struck. I don't want to see any more fatalities on our road, but in particular, not in our municipality. I mean, it's just unacceptable. One life is too many. So we really need to rally together as a council to start making these necessary changes within our municipality. Thank you, Mayor. That's all from me.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Formoso. Councillor Mehmeti, please.
Thank you, Mayor. It was great to have the Honourable Daniel Andrews visit Noble Park last week. We officially opened the NPAC gymnasium, which I must say is first class. And anyone that does visit it or does want to join a gymnasium, I would recommend they join the one at Noble Park. This initiative came about a few years ago. This project was shovel ready. Council didn't have enough funds, but it was shovel ready. Madam Mayor, we had a $3.3 million funding from the state government when we have shovel ready projects. So I need councillors to think about that as we're going to talk about the community hub on Monday. I know this council has got some big ambitions. We've already committed to the Keysborough Community Hub. We want to deliver the Dandenong Wellbeing Centre. As Councillor Formosa just said, that we need to do more for our community, and building a first state-of-the-art Ask Wellbeing Centre is a priority for this council. But also, another priority to this council, as we know, we've just come out of COVID, people are struggling with mental health and places to go, places to meet. So when we have these projects shovel ready to go, they could happen a lot sooner than later. But I'll leave that to the next council meeting as we have a briefing on Monday night to discuss the Dandenong Community Hub. Madam Mayor, I would like to just ask the following council officer regarding a loading bay just outside, right where we're sitting. I had a contractor call me and he had a parking fine and he was delivering some, I think it was vegetables or whatever he was delivering to Public Corner, and he received an infringement notice and he told me that there's no loading bay. So I haven't checked myself, but can an officer please check and maybe, if they know, is there one there at the moment?
Thank you, Councillor Mehmeti. Ms Roberts, please.
Thanks, Councillor Mehmeti, for the question. I assume you're talking about a loading bay for the Civic Centre?
Just a loading bay just around Lonsdale Street.
For our retailers along here?
Yeah.
Yeah, there isn't a loading bay as such, but they can load up via the basement. I know some trucks can't get into the basement, but we will look at getting some providers, we can get them access to the laneway along the side, which is often a lot easier than trying to, make your way through Lonsdale Street when there's a lot of traffic on Lonsdale Street. So if Public's Corner can contact me directly, I can possibly get them an access pass for the laneway here for their suppliers.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I appreciate that, and that's probably a good plan as well, because I don't like taking parking spaces off Lonsdale Street. Yeah. I know we do have a loading bay further up, probably about 100 metres up, but yeah, they are spaced out, I think, in Lonsdale Street, maybe 50 metres or 100 metres apart. But if that's another option where they can use the laneway, that will save another car parking spot in Lonsdale Street, because I know they are very precious and we don't have enough of them. So I'll have a chat to the actual person who does deliver goods to Public Corner, I think it is, and see if that's an alternative, so he doesn't get a fine, because it does cost a lot of money if you're racking up fines every week. Madam Mayor, somebody just on social media posted about 7:05 as we got on, and I had an announcement on my phone saying that Des Custom Reserve in Dandenong South has a broken bench and seating. If we can look at that tomorrow. And maybe, do we have an audit on our facilities? Like, why would somebody have to send that through? Is there another way that we can pick up things like this a lot quicker than... I know there's steps in Sol, but what auditing do we do when there is faulty equipment within our municipality?
Thank you, Councillor Mehmeti. Mr Kearsley, please.
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, we do have a program of auditing and inspecting the quality of our facilities, playgrounds, parks, you name it. However, we're not out there every day or necessarily every week, so we do require our residents and businesses to inform us, and it can either be done the way that you've received it, or it can be done by Snaps and Solved or contacting customer service with regards to a merit. So I can provide some further details on the regime that we do undertake so that all councillors are aware of that ongoing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. So I'll leave the Des Custom Reserve park bench and seat to you for tonight.
It's already on its way
Already
to
done?
an officer. Yep.
Brilliant. Probably Councillor Dark has done it as well because he would have mentioned it if he was before me, so I've beaten him to it because it was my ward. Also, Madam Mayor, speed humps in Morwell Avenue, Dandenong. The last speed hump closer to Kirkham Road was replaced not long ago. Can we actually replace all those speed humps in Morwell Avenue? Because they've done such a good job with that last one that everybody now is complaining about the other ones that are before that. And they are actually a hazard because they've actually been planted with nails or whatever. I'm not sure how they've done them. But these ones that they put in just a few months ago, they're actually concrete speed humps. And if we can have an officer look at that.
Thank you. Mr Kearsley, please.
Thank you, Councillor. We certainly can and see whether or not we can add a few more of those in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. And I always love Women's International Day because I have a mother, I have a wife, I have a daughter, I have a mother-in-law, I have granddaughters. So I think they're all fabulous, as we all think our mothers, daughters, wives are all fantastic. And it's a great day to celebrate women. And I always make sure that my family, that we always celebrate it, even with me as well, in it as well. So we're very grateful for the women in our life, and we like to celebrate them not only on Women's Day, but every day. So happy International Women's Day. Women.
Thank you, Councillor Mehmeti. Councillor Lim, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The last fortnight, I had a good discussion with the police officer, especially Mr. Senior Sergeant Kent Trendish, and he's very helpful by sending 3 officers to come to see me to patrol Springvale every hour or 2, every second hour or something like that. And the most important is they try their best all the time to remove sometimes the beggar and also the homeless as well, but they still backward and forward like a yo-yo there. But I'm going to give some scenario later on after this. On Monday the 27th, I went to Sister Work with Deputy Mayor Lana Formoso to visit the Sister Works. That's an amazing place that I never thought of because they have a lot of programs like sewing classes, job information session, English class, etc., etc. That's a very good place that I love to support them in the near future. On the Thursday, the 2nd of March as well, I had a meeting with Pharmaceutical Society Australia Victorian branch, is the manager, just regarding to some vaccination that pharmacists can do for our community in the near future. And also probably we have another chance to going to meet Honourable Daniel Andrew regarding to vaccination for our people as well. And also I have a chance to meet the Australian Journal of Pharmacy podcast presenter just to discuss about how to present to Australian pharmacists right across the country regarding to some issue, especially pharmacists or philanthropists or whatever, in so many things. And on Friday the 3rd of March, I had a meeting with a foreign investor from Switzerland. They're really interested in our city. I mean, I'm so glad I took them around our city of Springvale first, and I said there's a lot of places that they can build a shopping center, or they want to make like a village, Cambodian village or whatever. I said a great idea. They came for 3 days. Now he went back, and he come back probably in the near future to discuss again where we can invest in our city. But I show him a lot of places that we can do in Springvale, like the silo, near the railway station and behind the post office and so on. He's so happy with that. He's going to discuss with his company and come back in the near future. And on Saturday, the 4th of March, I had a chance to come to our city of Greater Dandenong Harmony Square to have an interview with the TV channel Sama, probably belong to Afghanistan, more invited by Zara Haidarbek, I think. Yeah, on Sunday, the 3rd of March, I sort of organized Australian Clean Up Australia Day in the morning session with Cambodian Association, that I'm a major sponsor for that. And the afternoon session, myself and my team, about 30 people, we had Clean Up Australia, half of each. Cambodian Association, half part of Springvale Activity Centre, and I had half up to Springwell Library. That's my part. And on Wednesday, the 8th of March, I attend International Women Breakfast at Springwell Town Hall with Mayor Eden Foster and also Angela Long. It's a great privilege to meet the two police officers and so many other polices as well on that morning. I had a long discussion with Senior Sergeant Ken Trendish again, and also with Senior Sergeant, his name is Chris Savage. He's in charge of emergency response. That's a great one that discussed all these issues, the same issue again and again. And finally, I'm going to sum up later on. And on Thursday, the morning, I had a chance to meet with Director Monash Health and some Professor Nick Fraser and Director of Monash Newborn and Drs. Alice Stewart and also Clinical Scientist of Monash Health as well, Mr. Rosby. And we just discussion mainly to raise funds for Monash children and Starlight Foundation. Actually, the three of them had to ride a bicycle for 1,000 km from Christchurch to Queenstown. You imagine if you've been to New Zealand, the road is unbelievable, up and down like a roller coaster. It's amazing that three doctors that put a lot of work and effort and sacrifice their time to raise funds for, and I'm a person that sponsors three of them as well. And in the afternoon, I had a meeting with Dr. Wu and Mr. Truong regarding to revitalization of Springwell. He gave me a lot of ideas what to do and also asked me a lot of questions, and I gave him a lot of positive questions that he very happy with. In the evening, I had a chance to meet Mr. Jody Bosman again, just discuss mainly about Springwell, what we can do for Springwell, that he already mentioned very frequently. We had a tour around Springwell to try to make sure Springwell is very clean and tidy and whatever. In like I said, it's not that easy, like a yo-yo. Yeah. And in morning of early morning of Friday, actually, I had a chance to attend what we call Moral Uplifting Society celebration because of the inauguration of the new president. And lunchtime, I attended so many councillors, CEO, and other, the mayor as well, regarding to NPAC. That's a very great one, and had a chance to discuss a lot with Premier Daniel Andrew for Springwell, advocate mainly for Springwell only, and make sure Springwell become tourist attraction in the future. Yeah, on Sunday, I had a meeting also with the monk from Cambodia. The reason he just became our councillor, he want to understand a bit about councillor of a city. He want to bring that idea to sort of to talk a bit about his ward in Cambodia. And the other thing he asked me, because he followed my health seminar, he need me to help him in any other way. One, my point is just to provide him a blood pressure machine, brand new glucometer machine and some medication, how they detect early about all the elderly living around his temple, and he's the head of the monk. And I tried to teach him the last couple of days. Next one, he's going to come again. I teach him again how to detect the early stage of diabetes or blood pressure and so on, because all are silent killer. And finally, I just would like to thank Mr. Talbot as well to come along. Honestly to you, what I said to you frequently, and anyone that come to Springwell to ask me a lot of questions about the homeless and so on, the same answer. I said we try our best. We advocate very strongly about those problems. And like Jody worked very hard, like Mr. Paul Keasley worked very hard as well. At least the last 2 years, we got a very nice multi-level car park, Springwell Boulevard. We have outdoor dining, beautiful outdoor dining. All the footpaths been fixed. And recently, just we tried to replace a new tree along Buckingham Avenue as well. Thank you. You have a passion the same as me, Mr. Talbot. We want to make Springwell become tourist attraction. That's my passion, that I want to become a councillor for that reason. Therefore, whatever we try, we still advocate very strongly. We try to clean up all these beggars and homeless as much as we can. But the police try my best. They try their best, and they keep giving me the same answer. Yeah, like recently too, they say that what can we do, because it's not our problem. Our problem for sure, but we can't do anything more than that, because if we remove them from their environment, it's not right either. Yeah, something to do with human rights. You know, we have coffee with a cup or coffee, the cup at Springwell Community Hub. Those sort of things are very big issue, not just us, even Canberra. We went to Canberra for our conference, we come across even probably worse than Springvale. You know, a lot of beggars, a lot of homeless on the street of Canberra, and not just that to like City of Melbourne. Therefore, we try our best, Mr. Talbot. Whatever we do, we try our best to try to make sure Springvale become a clean, nice place that what you expected. And body corporate, I'm meeting very frequently. The last 2 years without me, I don't think we have a clean toilet, private toilet, from the Springvale Centre to Springvale Shopping Centre to Golden Plaza. Because of me, I meet with body corporate very frequently. And the director of body corporate, he said this way, he said that I try my best, I keep educate them, but a couple of days later, they put all this rubbish along the walkway again, all these bin and boxes, whatever. Therefore, probably the next solution, probably like Mr. Jody Bosman try his best to try to talk to body corporate again, arrange the meeting between our department and body corporate just to reprimand the manager of body corporate, and also probably this time we're going to take all the business owners as well. You can ask Don, you can ask Kakada, all the jewelry shop, they know very well because they attend the body corporate with me all the time. Therefore, I try my best, we try our best, our council try our best, but it's just very difficult. This social problem is just so complex. Thanks for that, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lim. Councillor Milkovich, please.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of events I attended. One with yourself and I believe Councillor Sean O'Reilly met the Otters Swimming Club at Dandenong Oasis. It was an early start, but the parents were nonetheless very, very excited to have a chat to us and obviously put their requests and proposals forward. So that was a great meeting, got a great sense of community we have in Otters Swimming Club. It was interesting to find out that although a small club in numbers, percentage-wise, it's actually a great club on a national competition level, which I actually didn't know, so guilty of that. Another one that most of the councillors have attended and we're all very excited about is probably not so much meeting Daniel Andrews, but opening of the MPAC gym. I was very excited to see the world-class facility, like I said, so that's really great. Like I said, it provides a great sense of a community atmosphere. It is one of the best equipped gyms I've seen, not that I go to gym, but the ones that I visited. Fantastic facility. I hope that our community will put it to good use. So fantastic. Now, just got a couple of questions. If I could get possibly an update on the installation, additional streetlight installation at Carlton Road shops. That's been going on for a little while now due to the United Energy issues with placement of the pole and so on and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kearsley, please.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll take that one on notice and see if we can get some updated dates from United Energy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mayor. Also, could I get, well, I should have probably asked the same question, status of the repairs of and putting to good use all the drinking water fountains along Lonsdale Street, Thomas Street, Walker Street within the Dandenong CBD? There was quite a few issues. Some were broken, some were malfunctioning, not functioning. Are they back in working order now, yes or no? Or, what stage of repair there?
I understand, yes, thank you, Councillor, that most of them are now back in order and working. I'll just get that signed off, though, by the responsible department. But my understanding is I read a couple of weeks ago that all of those that had been put on a list with regards to not operating have actually now been fixed, or if there are bits or pieces waiting for delivery, it is still to be done, but they have, I believe, been actioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kearsley.
Thank you, Mr. Kearsley. If you could shoot me an email at your convenience, just with an update regarding how many are fully operational. And just happy to report that after a lengthy delay by South East Water, not the council this time, we're finally getting, this is like 2 years into my councillorship and year after been chasing with South East Water, we're finally getting a water fountain, which I think Councillor Formosa will be also happy about, at Manx Reserve half basketball court. First, we got a rubbish bin so people don't dump rubbish in our waterways and creeks and lakes, and now we're getting a water fountain so people can actually not bring water bottles there, they can actually drink fresh water from the tap, which I think all the playgrounds should have, and hopefully it's something that we can work towards to increase the level of exercise within our community. So that's great to hear, and hopefully it'll be put to work shortly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Milkovich. Councillor Dark, please.
Thank you, Mayor. May I just start off, I suppose, by saying, for those that did attend, it was wholly for the Indian community, very, very well attended events across the municipality, and actually with several being held at the same time that I did see that were quite busy for the ones that I wasn't at. In addition to that, also I had the opportunity to attend the Noble Park Big Day. I think most of the councils or the Noble Park Community Day were there, and that was a very well-attended event. The way that it was organised to maximise, I suppose, the people and the site access was very well planned. I had the opportunity to attend the grand final of the three wickets for Kimura Cricket Club versus Dandy West. It was held at the Lois Tui Reserve in Dandenong North, and I have not been to that reserve for a very, very long time. And it is incredibly run down. I don't know whether there is this question for the relevant officer to start my questions for this evening, but I went into the change rooms. It is something from when I was in primary school that we used. It was that old. The facilities were not up to scratch, and there were just the access, the look of the canteen. The reserve is looking very, very, very tired for a very large reserve. I just want to find out whether we have a master plan for this reserve, or there are any futures about, I suppose, conversations or plans about upgrading it. I was completely gobsmacked.
Thank you, Councillor Dark. Mr Forster, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Dark, for your question. I am aware there is a master plan, I think, for the Lois Tui Reserve. I'll dig that out and pass that on to you, along with any actions that are falling out of that.
Thank you, Mr Forster. Councillor Dark, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, if we could please get, I suppose, an update also on when the first, I suppose, injection of funds is going to occur. For what that is, that would be great. My second question for this evening is regarding a resident complaint regarding Chandler Road and the mowing that's been going on of a lot of the areas and parks. There seems to be a lot of grass clippings that are just being left behind. Subsequently, they are blowing down the street, down Parkmore Road and down the Chandler Road. The resident has sent me several photos that I forwarded on, but if we could please get an update, because I'm aware that he is asking.
Thank you, Councillor Dark. Mr Kearsley, please.
Thank you. We can certainly look into that. If it's our road in terms of our mowing, what we have had to do, and it previously reported to Council several months ago, was due to the height of the grass, the catches aren't working. But that's something we can certainly look at with regards to whether or not it was recently mowed and whether or not we're continuing with that practice, and also why.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, for my final question this evening is an update regarding the Parkland Court landscaping improvements that were my budget bid in the previous budget. I'm aware that Ms Brodie did quite a decent schematic drawing of the layout of the reserve, and I took it to a couple of residents nearby who provide some feedback, but from there we haven't seen anything in terms of the plantings, the landscaping, the layout, the design, and when it's estimated to be completed. If I could please get an update of when that's expected to occur, that would be great.
Thank you, Councillor. Mr Bosman, please.
Madam Mayor, thank you. Councillor Dark, I'll follow that up for you. It might be a touch point between a couple of us, between different departments, but let me undertake to come back to you with a comprehensive response in that regard.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Thanks, Councillor Dark. So in the past couple of weeks since our last meeting, I've attended a number of events, and I'll run through a few of them. So I attended the Noble Park Suburban Revitalisation Board meeting with our CEO as well. With Councillor Long, I attended the 100th birthday afternoon tea for Dorothy Hudson at the Park Glen Retirement Village. And again, it was just fantastic to be able to celebrate her 100th there with her. Also attended the opening of the Frank Street open space and the Ukrainian community mural, and it's great to see that come up, and it's a great, I guess, space that can be utilised by our community for small events. The mural itself is a great symbol of peace and harmony for our Ukrainian community, so it was quite moving, but also wonderful to be able to do that with the Ukrainian community centre. Like my fellow councillors, I attended the Noble Park Community Fun Day, and so the second one that we've had there, and again another fantastic event. The space was utilised quite well, which meant that the people attending was spread out. They were able to enjoy the activities and the food and the entertainment, might I add, quite well. I also attended Clean Up Australia Day event with the SEWA volunteers and our council staff. I might add, and I'd like to say a big thank you to council staff who actually volunteered their time on Clean Up Australia Day, their own personal time to come and help as well. So just a big thank you to the council staff who did that. And again, it's surprising to see the rubbish that you pick up and furniture pieces thrown in at Greaves Reserve. So I do wonder how people bring along those things and just dump them into our reserves. But I guess a bit of a reminder about Clean Up Australia Day shouldn't be every day. Should be every day, not just one day. It's really important to make sure that our parks, our reserves and our waterways are kept clean. I also attended a number of International Women's Day events, a breakfast with Colester College, my old high school that I attended for 3 years. So it was great to see an alumni there as well to speak about her early experiences and where she is at now, and a strong woman of that as well. I also attended the Chandler Park Primary School International Women's Day event and spoke to our primary school kids on what it means to be a woman in leadership and the benefits but also the challenges of that. And I guess it's a big reminder of the strengths that us women contribute to society, and to remember them not just on International Women's Day but every day. Another International Women's Day event, I told you there were many. Wellsprings for Women and Chisholm Institute also held an International Women's Day event where they had 4 keynote speakers, including myself, speak about our personal experiences and the challenges, again, that we face as women and the strengths that we bring to each of our roles. So it was a very moving event, and I learnt a lot from the women, the fellow women that were on the panel as well. Many have been through so many challenges but have come out the end quite strong and resilient for it. I'll repeat this one because I think it was fantastic. And the official opening of the MPAC New Health and Wellbeing Gymnasium with the Honourable Premier Daniel Andrews. It was fantastic to see that facility open officially. I have paid a visit a couple of times to the gym before the official opening, and again I encourage our residents to sign up membership, take advantage of the 7-day free trial that they have going on at the MPAC gym. It's fantastic facilities there and state-of-the-art, as Councillor Mehmedi has mentioned. I also attended a little bit of a photo opportunity, but we had a gentleman by the name of Tony Pearce, who is the chair of the Emergency Services Foundation and Inspector General for Emergency Management. Tony Pearce is trying to highlight the mental health concerns in Victoria's emergency management community, and he is doing a 1,440-kilometre walk through Victoria, and his first night he arrived at the Dandenong CFA, so I welcomed him in the morning, wished him all the best for his journey. It will take him 50 days to do this, and I encourage you all to have a look at Tony's Trek. If you Google Tony's Trek, you'll be able to have a look at the cause that he's promoting and also donate to an important cause to promote awareness and support the mental health of our emergency management services community in Victoria. And that, I'll leave that there. And Ms Weatherall, do we have questions taken on notice at last meeting to table?
Yes, Mayor, we had 10 questions which required further responses from the last meeting, and these have now all been answered and will be tabled in tonight's minutes.
Thank you, Ms Weatherall. Item 7, urgent business. As there's no urgent business, I declare tonight's meeting closed at 8:52 p.m. Thank you, and have a good night.